It starts off innocently enough. You spawn outside of the castle like in any Super Mario 64 game. At first, nothing seems out of the ordinary, but as you explore, you slowly realize that some things are missing, like the trees, side door, and the cannon grate on the ground. It's subtle and slightly odd, but since this is a ROM hack, any sort of modifications to the game are to be expected. It's not until you enter the castle that things become stranger. Once you step foot in the main lobby, the whimsical music is replaced with an eerie quietness. The lobby itself has also been remodeled, as it's now emptier and contains just one conspicuous door. When you open it, you're greeted with the sight of the familiar Bob-omb painting that teleports you to the Bob-omb battlefield level. Immediately, a message pops up that simply says to collect the star. You'll also notice that the music is a little bit slower. It's a subtle change, but as you explore the level, you soon realize that prominent things are missing, like coins, Chain Chomp, and other characters. In fact, it seems like the entire level is devoid of life. At some point, you'll come across arrow signs pointing in the opposite direction, and there are no giant metal balls rolling down the mountain that you have to worry about. Once you reach the top of the mountain, the star that you need to collect is just conveniently floating in the air. There's no King Bob-omb that you have to battle. There's just a star, and that's it.
Here we go!
Once you grab the star though, an error handler with random numbers and letters will appear on screen. It seems indecipherable, but at the top of the screen there's text that says, "Something changed." The only way to get out of the screen is to restart the game, but once you do, you'll progressively realize that some things really have changed. Every time you collect a star at the top of the mountain, the same error message will pop up, forcing you to restart the game. But every time you restart, more and more things are removed from the game, like the waterfall, the stained glass of Princess Peach, and even the Bob-ombs in the painting. The room that houses the painting even becomes longer. What's more, environmental objects in the Bob-omb battlefield level disappear, and the music even gets slower. At the same time, additional arrow signs will crop up, with the most unusual ones pointing down instead of left or right. Even creepier is when the game's sky turns dark after restarting the game twice. With the darkness partially obscuring the level and limiting your visibility, it feels like something will jump out of the darkness and get you. Not only that, but the aforementioned arrow signs will actually multiply, and the flowers will now be floating in the air. It's as if the flowers are ignoring what the signs are saying. If you dare restart the game for a third time, this happens. The sky will turn completely white, the water will be gone, and the room the painting is in will get longer and bigger. And jarringly, the Bob-ombs in the painting are also completely gone. When inside the Bob-omb level, you're greeted with this message that now ominously says, "Leave." The level is also dramatically darker, with the darkness now engulfing almost the entire level. Adding to the spookiness is the lack of music, and when you get farther into the level, this occurs. Why is there a timer? What's it counting down to? What happens when time runs out? These are questions that race through my mind as I frantically try to make my way to the top of the mountain to collect the star. As the timer counted down, however, the screen slowly got darker and redder, making it harder to see. With only a few seconds left, I realized I wasn't going to make it in time, and when the countdown ended, this happened. What the hell was that? Upon taking a closer look, it appears that a dark corrupted Mario comes out of nowhere and attacks you.
Yahoo!
This causes the game to crash yet again, but if you restart the game one more time, you'll be taken to the title screen, which is now blank. This cutscene then plays, which shows that the world is seemingly back to normal. But after a moment of serenity, this message pops up saying, "Everything is better off without you." Restarting the game just brings you back to this cutscene. It's a heartbreaking ending that implies that the game is about suicide and mental health. The person that made sm64 goes by the name Jefftastic, who uploaded the game on romhacking.com on February 15th, 2022. The name of the hack is unassumingly titled sm64.z64. Z64 files contain exact copies of all of the data in N64 game cartridges. This allows anyone with a Z64 file to play an N64 game on their PC using an emulator. According to Jeff's tweets, the hack was intended to be a remake of, quote, an SM64DD emulator game on Roblox. He goes on to say that there's, quote, some subtle story elements that only few have caught. When a user asked Jeff about the arrow signs pointing down near the flowers, Jeff responded, quote, they're connected to a larger whole. I wouldn't want to give away answers now. So there is a rhyme and reason for the weird things in the game. It's not just being weird and creepy for the sake of it. Players have their own interpretation of what the message or theme of the game is, but according to Jeff, the corrupted Mario is meant to be, quote, an error within the code. It has no thought process and is merely there to take and take and take. So it's apparently a physical manifestation of erroneous code, which would explain the corrupted Mario's glitchy appearance. And because the corrupted Mario looks like normal Mario, it could be that the two Marios are linked together. So when the normal Mario is traversing the world, he's actually destroying it. So in order to fix the error, the corrupted Mario seeks and destroys his counterpart, which in turn destroys itself. So with Mario gone, everything is better off without you, and the world is restored. According to the ROM hack's composer, Will is a Clown, the corrupted Mario is named M. It's possible that M is based on Shadow Mario in Super Mario Sunshine. In that game, Shadow Mario is an evil doppelganger that vandalizes the game's world by painting the letter M everywhere. It's impossible to defeat or escape M in the ROM hack. Some players speculate that maybe the aforementioned flower patch would protect you from M, but the flowers don't appear in the level that has M in it, and when you try to ground pound the flowers in the previous levels, nothing happens. Even crouching and sleeping in the flowers doesn't do anything, as seen in these gameplay clips by YouTube users Astra and Garisico. Plus, according to Will, the arrow signposts are just a diversion. There's no win condition. Even if you make it to the top of the mountain before time runs out, there's no star for you to grab, and eventually M will get you.
I made it. But there's nothing.
When M attacks Mario, this familiar error handler appears, but it's different from previous ones. On the top of the screen, the text reads, TLB exception on store. Maybe someone knows what that means, but according to Wikipedia, TLB in computing stands for Translation Look Aside Buffer. It is, quote, a memory cache that stores the recent translations of virtual memory to physical memory. It is used to reduce the time taken to access a user memory location. I'm not sure if the error handler contains a secret message, but players report that the ROM hack can actually run on real hardware, and that the crash screen does appear on consoles. A YouTube commenter named Mugen opines, quote, if I had to make a guess, he edited the crash handler to display something changed as an error code, and after grabbing the star, the game intentionally loads an area that causes a crash and then reloads. Every time a star is grabbed, it probably increments an invisible counter, and when the game loads, it checks the counter in the file and loads specific textures, lighting, and backgrounds. For him to pull this off, he has to have a strong knowledge of the inner mechanics of the game's code, as none of this is regular for a ROM hack. There's a lot of foreshadowing in sm64. According to tvtropes.org, the arrow signposts are actually warning you to go back. Meanwhile, some of the more curious changes are to the title screen and intro. Mario's face is replaced by the amateur-looking text, and the music seems to be a loop sample of Mario 64's title theme. Additionally, when the game starts, there's no HUD, and you don't jump out of a green pipe like you normally would. Maybe the ladder was cut down for time, but I wonder why things like the trees and butterflies were removed at the start of the game, before any restart. Is it because the ending had to show you that the world has been fully restored? If that's the case, then it's missing the signpost. Oh, and in case you were wondering, there's nothing on the roof, as evidenced in this clip by YouTube user Permarina. What makes this creepypasta hack so great is that at first glance everything seems normal. There's subtlety to the creepiness that's easy to miss the first time around. Did you notice that the castle door's frame design and red carpet disappear? I didn't even notice until after I finished recording my playthrough. Even the error message about restarting the game is subtle. The fact that you even have to restart the game seems novel. What's more, turning a beloved and familiar level into something that's unfamiliar gives you an uneasy feeling.